How's it going? My name is Brent from Encore PPF and Tint, and today we're going to install some paint protection film on the side view mirror of a Toyota Crown. So we're going to be doing this mirror in one piece today. We're going to be bulking this mirror, and the type of coverage that I'm looking for or looking to get out of this is basically there's a body line or a seam right here in the plastic, and then the seam also runs up the mirror right like that. And so I'm looking to stay completely on that side of that seam, and that will be more than adequate coverage. So let's go ahead and get started on this. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is move you in closer. All right, and then let's go ahead and get this mirror good and wiped down. So it's good, you wanna start with a very clean surface. And what we're trying to do with this process here is get rid of all the, any waxes or anything off of this surface. And so I'm going to go ahead and use 70% rubbing alcohol on this mirror cap and just get this whole surface wiped down really good. Okay, great. Go ahead and wipe this off just one more time here. We don't want to leave any residue from that rubbing alcohol on the mirror. Fantastic. Go ahead and fold that closed, and then we'll go ahead and put a mist on here, and then let's go grab a piece of material. So this is just some excess bulk material that we have hanging out here from these other cars we've been working on. All right, so I went ahead and put some slip solution on here, and what we're gonna do is get some, oh, no, not 70%. Let's get our regular tack mixture and spray that on there. Let's lay this into place, and then what we're gonna do is, once we know that we've got great coverage everywhere, we'll go ahead and lay this down into place. And then I'm just gonna spray some more of this up in there to make sure we've got all the slip solution rinsed out, and we'll go ahead and tack this down to the mirror here. Okay, now we need to stretch this into place and squeegee it out. So I'm going to just throw us a little bit of tack in there, and then we'll go ahead and stretch this into place. All right, so we've got it tacked here, and that allows us to use our other two hands for stretching. Now what we want to make certain of is that none of this is pre-tacking to the mirror cap yet. And we want to go ahead and stretch back and away like this until this is all laid down nice and smoothly. So right like that looks great. Let's double check this front after I reach around to the back and get a good grip on this material. We want to double check here and make sure we got enough coverage, and that one is looking good. So something right about like that. Okay, now we need to get all the majority of this squeegeed out at this point. So let's put a little slip on there, and we'll take our squeegee here and we'll bring all this stuff over to this corner, and then we'll squeegee it out of this corner. And then let's go ahead and get this front part down. Okay, and I'll go over that one more time at a bit of a different angle to make sure I'm getting that squeegeed out really well. Okay, so that's all good and squeegeed out now. And now I want to put just a little bit more stretch on this down here in order to get that to stay down and sneak us a little bit more coverage out of this. And with this one, I'm going to basically just kind of stretch back this way, like that. I'm not putting a ton of stretch on it. I'm only putting what I can use on it. So overstretching it right here is going to make this want to just continually pop back up and not stay stuck down. And so we don't want to overstretch it. We just want to put just a little as we can on it. So now that's all laying down really good around here. Let's check up here. coming up. It's not fully laid down right here on this top edge, and so I want to make sure and get some tack in there and get this to stay down right now. Because if this stuff does start to pop up at all, especially while we're tearing the material after we do our score in it in order to cut it, you will kind of leave a distortion in this edge. So we really want that to be good and stuck down. Okay, and then this part right here is coming up just a little bit. So let's go ahead and get some tack in there and get that pushed down, because we should definitely be able to get that to stick down. Okay, great. You know, really, you could probably just stretch the bejesus out of it and get 100% coverage out of this, but we're not. I'm not trying to do that though. I don't want to get too crazy, and the coverage that we're getting right now is plenty good enough. Okay, I can see a little bit of water left in it right there. Just making sure we get all that stuff squeegeed out. Great. Okay, so let's go ahead and wipe this off, and then double check for anything in there. Make sure we didn't leave any water or anything. Okay, things are looking really good. Now what I'm going to need to do is kind of pull up on this material here, and we're going to need to get some tack solution in here across this bottom of the mirror cap, because it is popping up off the mirror cap there, because when it comes over to this piece of plastic here, this is actually sitting far enough out that it's keeping it from tacking to the mirror there. So let's go ahead and get some tack in there. I don't want to completely make this pop up, just make it pop up enough that I can spray some tack back in there. Okay. All right, and then we will go ahead and tack all this down now. And this mirror pops like out of its position there. It pops so easy. Okay, great, that looks really good. And this coming back up again right here, I do want that to go down and stay down. So I'm just gonna give it just a little bit more tack, and then I'm gonna go right over that edge and then hold it right past that edge. Same with this one here. Great, now that should definitely stay stuck down. All right, great. Now we want this to sit here and cure. We don't want to start trimming this off until this mirror has dried. So we're going to give this I'm going to give it about 15 minutes, and then I'll come back and we'll go ahead and trim this off together, and then we'll heat seal all these edges, and then this thing will be ready to go. All right, let's go ahead and trim this mirror out now. Well, let me go look and see what I did on the other side. It's important they get pretty close to matching, right? Okay, so we kind of just did a swoopy turn way back here and then kind of went up like that. Okay. So we're going to start up here, right at this line. Then we kind of made a swoopy turn here. Came down. Made another swoopy turn here, and then the rest of this we just followed the very edge. So when I'm cutting this, I'm not looking at the tip of the blade really, I'm looking like right in here. And honestly, even I'm looking like way up here, right here is where I'm looking with my eyes. And that's how I get a nice straight line along that edge. Sometimes you can look right at the tip of the blade, but really you want to stay ahead of the blade out here. And then for some of this, you can come around to the front of to the very tip of the blade. I don't know if I'm explaining that very well on this one. I'm trying to pay attention here too at the same time. Okay. Should be able to go ahead and tear right on this line now. Let's go ahead and cut this all the way down and through this material. And then as soon as this comes up, I'm running right behind it with my finger to make sure that if any of this did try to pop up a little bit on this edge, that it's immediately getting pushed back down. Okay, and then we'll come around to right there, right up to this line where we started. So right there. Awesome. Now let's go ahead and trim across the top here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start right where we left off. And then I'm coming just across the top of this mirror cap, and there is a seam, or what looks like some kind of a seam in this mirror cap, and I'm seeing just to this side of that. We don't want to go over that, otherwise the material's not going to want to stay stuck down. Some of those you can go over them if there's enough to stick to on the other side. Like this one right here, we're obviously able to go on both sides of it because there's plenty of area for this to stick down to over here. On this one though, there is not. So if you go over that, you're gonna have to round that edge, and that's just not something the material is gonna want to stay stuck down to. Okay, let's get this to come off right on our cut line. Great. And just, I mean, it went right on it basically. Fantastic. All right, so at this point, what's going to be left to do on this is go ahead and heat seal this edge all the way around. That way we don't have issues with it trying to pop up. For longevity of your work, you should be heat sealing every edge every time. All right, let's go grab that heat gun. Okay, so I've got the heat gun. That's going to be too hot. We want to be somewhere between 700 and 800 degrees. Seems to work really well. And we're just trying to heat up this edge and then run over it with our finger here. Just warming that edge up and then pushing it down again. Great. All right, terrific. Well, that was the process of installing paint protection film on the mirror of this 2024 Toyota Crown. I did find on the other side that you can definitely stretch this material enough to get full coverage back in here, because I did it on the other side by accident. So, you know, and not that it's totally required to have it stuck down over there, you know, to have full coverage on the side of the mirror. But I did notice that you could do that. Also, you know, this install could be a little bit different if you were dealing with a black mirror cap. This was a pretty easy install like this, but you definitely want to make sure right in this area here that you're not getting any pre-tacking. So you'll want to pull that material back once you have this stuck down, get a bunch of slip solution in there, and then start to stretch this into place, because you can, when you're pulling this, have the material rubbing on this corner as it's stretching out a little, and you can or damage that adhesive a little bit, which then will make it a little bit, you'll get some silvering and things in that area. So you'd probably want to stretch up a little bit first and then come back, because then that would give you all the stretch you need for this corner. But with the gray or silver like this, whatever you want to call it, gray, silver, with this color mirror cap, this install worked fantastic, and I would do this type of install on these all day long. So terrific. I appreciate you guys taking a look. If you found anything helpful, please give a thumbs up, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.